We find that in a presidential system, the branch is completely not completely, but more independent from the legislature than we do have in a parliamentary system. For the parliamentary system, all members of the cabinet are from Parliament. All are responsive directly to that body. When we do have a presidential system, the president is responsible, and he can make mistakes. However, he has to remedy them, and the people can blame him, but he is the one ultimately responsible.
I feel that in times of emergency, it's a lot better to have a presidential system. As we watch throughout our history, from 1935 to 1945, the British parliamentary did not have elections, essentially, because of what was going on in their system. However, when they had elections, they took Churchill out of the Potsdam Conference and replaced him directly with Attlee at the end of World War II, which I feel was detrimental to their cause at that time. And I feel like in total, like in case of the Bay Pigs invasion, it's a lot better for our presidential system to be enacted as opposed to having a vote of no confidence and getting rid of a prime minister and changing the system directly at a time of extreme emergency.
Then conversely,
can we go on with the last questions for you, if you don't mind? My Democratic congressman voted against the health care bill, perhaps because he feared not being reelected. What do you think of voting based on self-interest?
I think that voting for self-interest completely undermines the basis of democracy in our nation. Primarily, representatives need to keep in mind the quality of their constituents and what they would like to see occur rather than maintaining their own self-interest. Just as we've seen in the redistricting case in Texas, the lines were primarily redrawn so that many Republicans can maintain their seats, and that's a problem that we see occurring many times in the past. We see Republicans and Democrats negotiating with each other on redistricting plans in order to maintain each other's seats and have each other's backs to maintain their positions, and in that way, the people cannot be properly represented as they ought to be.
In the case of your representative wishing to deciding to vote against the healthcare bill in order to get reelected, I don't see this as a self-interest. I feel it is the necessary reflection of the population if he wishes to represent them. If he or she did not vote for if he or she did vote for the healthcare bill, then we would be able to see that they would get out of office. This is one of the greatest virtues of our system, in which they cannot hold the party line in all situations. They have to be reflective of their constituency if they do wish to stay in office.
I actually slightly disagree with my colleague. I think that the person put in office was elected because the people trusted his judgment. If his judgment says that we should pass healthcare reform, then he should take every effort to do that. However, I can see some justification why he would vote against it if he was looking to promote his own self-interest, if there was another piece of legislation that he thought he could really vote on and have good input for.
In 1982, Congress amended the Voting Rights Act of 1965 to create so-called majority-minority districts. What are the advantages and disadvantages of these districts?
Well, in a study titled The Quiet Revolution in the South, looking at the study from Voting Rights Act from 1965 to 1990, they concluded that majority-minority districts have actually resulted in a greater increase of black officers, black candidates in the House of Representatives. And I feel that that is a beneficial for the minority representatives. However, at the same time, there have been multiple studies showing that black candidates don't necessarily reflect the viewpoints of the black people, of the African-American population, but that white candidates can do the same exact thing. It doesn't necessarily have to reflect the ethnicity.
One of the main disadvantages I see in creating majority-minority districts is the fact that you cannot truly separate race from politics in creating them. In Easley v. Cromartie, the Supreme Court ruled that a very oddly shaped district was created based on politics rather than race, even though blacks tended to vote overwhelmingly Democratic as opposed to Republican. They said for that reason it was not a violation of federal civil rights laws, and this logic truly presents the main problem we have, that you cannot truly get away from the problems associated with both, and that one side may want to concentrate African Americans in one district to dilute their vote in all the other districts, or maybe the fact that they might want to and want to distribute blacks over several districts to boost the party they support in all these districts. You cannot truly reach a balance between these two interests.
I think it's also easy to envision a situation where these districts violate the Equal Protection Clause, and that's why in Bartlett v. Strickland, the court made it so that these majority-minority districts, the minorities have to exceed 50% of the population in order for these districts to be formed.
In Shafi,
I know we're in the Senate, but no filibustering.
Let her finish her question.
Well,
Go ahead, make your point.
I'd like Fred to, we don't have
Go
time,
ahead.
unfortunately. Why don't
if we had a let's say could we eliminate some of these problems if we created multi-member districts and avoided the issue that you raised about minority representation by having an at-large system with proportional or cumulative voting? Wouldn't that maybe solve all these problems of redistricting and still protect minority rights?
I feel that would violate Article 1 and Section 2 of our Constitution because it determines proportional representation. In Whitcomb v. Chavez, they ruled that multi-member districts are unconstitutional. Also in Rogers v. Lodge, we saw that at-large elections in a large rural county was also ruled a violation of the Equal Protection Clause. So I feel that although it might represent minority interests, it's against the very foundation of our country, and that we should look for alternatives in order to address the minority representation.
I actually disagree with Donia. I think that having these minority groups being represented is the foundation of our government, and the idea that we get these different opinions in and these different viewpoints is crucial to our ability to function as a whole.
I would have to agree. I think that would eliminate the arguments for creating majority-minority districts, because it would allow different minorities to have a part in various different districts rather than all of them being grouped together in one district. If we have multi-member districts, then we'd be able to represent those minorities within the districts that they are already in, as opposed to the situation where we see today, where minorities are grouped together. Like Justice Scalia said, that there are a lot of political interests in aggregating all black people in 1 or 2 districts, rather because it makes it easier for the rest of the districts to ignore their interests. Having multi-member representatives would allow these minority groups to be more readily represented in the government.